Good evening and welcome to the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. It's January 12th, 2026. If you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It appears we have a full board tonight. Christine?
Here.
Art?
Here.
Phyllis?
Here.
Tony?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
For any of you unfamiliar with the proceedings here before the Zoning Board of Appeals, there's an agenda up here on the corner. Each item will be taken in the order that it appears on the agenda. The applicant will come forward, be sworn, describe their application. There may be some questions from the board. Then it's open up to the public for any comments. There are people in the audience that comment. People on Zoom can comment. And then when the record's closed, we'll move on to the next agenda. When we reach the end of the agenda and all the applications have been heard, there may be a intermission, but tonight probably we'll just go right into our discussion and our deliberations. There's no further testimony or evidence taken at that point, and we'll make a decision. You can either wait till the end of the meeting, or you can contact the zoning administrator in the morning and find out. With that, proceed to item number one. Is 2 Pendle Road. At the request of the applicant, this is adjourned to the February 9th meeting, so I'll make a motion to adjourn this to February 9th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. That brings us to item number 2, 89 Kensington Lane. Oh, yeah. If you'd state your name?
Victoria Sibilich.
Victoria, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been here before,
Yes.
and what's new?
What's new? So there is no new information that has been submitted to the board for this presentation. If the board recalls, we were here, I believe, in August the first time. We went through our submission as to the criteria for the area variance. At that time, we didn't proceed to a vote because we were in the summer months, and I think we were concerned that we might not hit a majority that evening for this variance request. So we came back in October, and we had pointed out that the town had installed a traffic counter looking at the speed. That information didn't really show anything of significance. We submitted, and we're not asking the board to consider that information at this time. What I have submitted through your council is, it seems that the board has some concerns about the extension on the driveway. We've indicated why it was installed, to give an area to backing up so that the car that's in the garage is not blocked. This is a fairly large lot in the Stratford Farm subdivision. The existing driveway already exceeds your code because it predates, I believe, the existing 15-foot. We determined that from a Freedom of Information Law request. So at this time, if there are concerns from the board, we would be curious if there would be an alternative of a lesser backing up area or an alternative design that you would be willing to discuss with us, which would achieve the benefits sought by the applicant, that might address any concerns you might have.
So in your January 5th letter, is that what you're referring to?
I believe it was January 5th, correct.
Okay. You describe the back is large truck onto Kensington Lane? Mm-hmm. What large truck are you talking about?
It is a black Chevy? Nissan, yeah. I believe it shows in the photos of our first submission
All right, so
that
it's
they've
a
been
mid-sized
parking it
pickup
in this
truck, is that
expanded
fair to say?
area.
Fair to say it's a mid-sized pickup truck?
It's a pickup truck.
Sorry, what make was it?
It's a Nissan.
So it's like a Frontier?
It is a Frontier, yeah.
So the majority of the driveway is 20 feet wide, is that correct?
Yes.
And how many cars do you have?
We have 2 cars.
2 cars?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it 2-car garage?
Not technically. You can't fit 2 cars inside.
Or perhaps 2 cars that are of a mid-size SUV or larger. If it was 2 passenger cars, maybe they could fit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have 2 doors, it has 1 door.
Okay. And what's your concern about backing onto Kensington Lane?
So we're right at the top of the hill as you come up. And then we have small children. They're 1.5 and they're 3.5. So it's not like I have older kids that can go into the street and play or anything like that. Not that any children should be, but, so the concern is just being able to back out and not have to worry. And because people come speeding up that hill all the time. But yes, they, the traffic, whatever, showed that it wasn't speeding by the time they got down the road, which is fine. But, it's just the concern of backing up. Previously, I've backed up out of the driveway and cars have come flying by me. And even like, we have a neighbor directly across from us who also backs up at the same time. So it's just helpful to avoid any collision or just to be safer for our family.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions. Christine?
Just one question. So you said that you might be, I'm looking at the picture from your original submission. Would you be willing to make the turnaround, like cut it in half? Because it looks like it can fit at least 2 vehicles there. So
Yeah.
if you really
Client's
want it as
indicating
a
yes.
Yes,
turnaround,
Yeah, of course.
that's all. Thank you.
Art?
No, excuse me, I agree with the proposal, but my concern is this something we would like to have, as we've done in the past, have him kind of stake it out and show us his new proposal, and then go from there? Give us a better understanding of exactly what you're proposing? Or mark it out and like put a paint stripe down?
You understand,
What you want to keep?
I mean, the client is hoping that we can resolve this evening. If you would prefer it be the higher portion that remain as the 1 lot, or the lower portion, we're willing to, or maybe you want to meet in the middle, but we're just hoping to avoid having to come back for another meeting if at all possible.
So, and again, how wide is that pad? Did you say 20?
That is 20 feet wide.
20 feet wide.
So the pad itself,
Your microphone, if you wouldn't mind.
so the pad, so the pad itself is wider than the driveway. Is allowed, right? Driveway is 15?
So the width, the total width of the driveway, I should have said the depth. The total width of the driveway would now be 32.5. This is 12.5 on top of the 20 feet. The depth of that addition is 20 feet.
so they're entitled to 20 feet according to the subdivision.
Okay.
Okay. So it's about as wide as what it's supposed to be.
Without the backing.
Right.
So you're proposing to cut it in half?
If that would satisfy concerns of the board, we'd be willing to do that.
Okay, thanks.
And I just have to ask, have you tried backing into the property? Pulling up a little bit and then swinging back and pulling in?
Right, yeah, we used to do that before we had that area. But it was leaving marks and mud, and so we were trying to come up with something that would avoid creating.
Missing the driveway?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No further questions?
Tony?
I'm sorry, it's been a few minutes. When was the addition added on?
I believe, hold on, I have that. It has been there for, I think it's been at this point like a year and a half since they constructed it. They received the notice of violation in June of this year.
And how long have you lived there?
We've lived there since September of 2023.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mary?
No questions.
Linda?
Is there any way, because I know that I see the vehicle that's there, is there any way that you can pull out forward by just maneuvering one or two times instead of pulling out into the street? I guess the driveway wide enough for you to kind of, go back and forth a few
I
times.
mean, we'd still go off the driveway into the grass.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, that's what we did previously. Because we both I drive a mid-size SUV and then he drives the pickup truck. So like, no matter which way, we're always going off the driveway.
No further questions.
All right, anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this? I don't see anyone in the audience. Anyone on Zoom who wishes to comment on this?
All applicants.
I'm sorry?
We're all applicants and
Yeah,
attorneys,
well,
so that's it.
Then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And again, you can wait till the end of the meeting, or you can call in the morning.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 3, 55 Scenic Drive. At the request of the applicant, they requested an adjournment till the February 9th meeting. So I'll move to adjourn this to February 9th.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. Item 4 is 2519, 2521 South Road.
Good evening, thank you for inviting us back. So at there's two things I'd like to ask the board to consider tonight. One of the things I had not thought about that I thought was expressed quite clearly and eloquently was the impact on signage if this variance were to be granted. I frankly had not thought about it in that presentation. I heard loud and clearly the concerns that were expressed that the grant of this would, grant of my request for a variance here would impact signage, would promote and bring more signage to the sale of tobacco products to minors and persons who would not wish to see them or we would wish not to have them see it. So I thought what was important here is because the thing that keeps driving me on this application, and it's the only reason why I'm here, is because Route 9 is a wall. It's a wall of sound, it's a wall of traffic, and it's also, as I discovered when I addressed the issue of the signage, a visual wall as well, even though we look at Route 9 and we see it as flat. So what I did was I provided you with photographs that were delivered on Friday. I assume you all have all three of them. If you don't, I have some extras to pass out. But if you look at the photograph,
Excuse me.
this is what my client's signage will look like, Vape and Ash Tobacco Shop.
Hang on just a second.
Excuse me. Do you have the photographs?
I do. It's a January 9th letter.
Yes. It's hand-delivered Friday.
Back of the letter submitted on the 9th.
We good?
I'll
Okay.
share hers.
So the first thing I wanted to do was look at that issue of signage because quite frankly, until the board had expressed its concerns, I hadn't looked at it. So I do know from experience with other clients in front of this board that signage is something that's not governed by this application, but is governed by the town. So the issue of what that signage will look like, how much it will be there, will ultimately come back, I think, to the zoning officer's desk for determination. But assuming that my client got the wish that he wanted, you can see on the first page that the signage he would propose is that. Nothing more, nothing less. And that signage, at least in color and in visibility, is similar in design to the other signage in that commercial project area, that's shopping center, I think we would call it. And then I thought, okay, fine, let's take a look at what exists. Because if there are going to be too many signs up, let's see what they look like. So I took a photograph on page 2 of the tobacco store that was located on the east side of Route 9. And you'll see it says smokehouse, doesn't even say, could be, it clearly indicates that you see a little picture in a window of tobacco products, but smokehouse. And I'm assuming, and I think correctly, that the signage on this building is governed by this town's zoning code, and they had to have a permit for this, as would the signage on our building. I would just make the point that the signage on our building is consistent in style and design with all the other signs that are in that project. But what I found was interesting was something I never noticed before until I drove up Route 9 and pulled over into the parking lot and looked at it. If you looked at the last photograph, now I didn't take this, but I went to the site and looked at it. Route 9, as you head north, elevates. And as it elevates, the store, the existing store, is at a lower elevation. I don't have a survey, but I can just tell you I've seen this, and is at a lower elevation than where the proposed store is going to be. So when you put a parking lot of cars between the two of them, the elevation affects so that one can't see the other. I can't look from the front door of my client's proposed store and see the other store. Now, I didn't go to the other store and look to see if you could see mine, but I suspect it has to be the same because as I saw, it was all the result of 9's elevation. It's not a steep hill, but it's a rise. I mean, it only has to rise 10, 15 feet, and you can't see it. So I thought, the issue with signage was a really good issue. I hadn't prepared at all for it. And when I heard it, and I heard the sincerity with which it was expressed, I wanted to go look at it. That's what I saw, and I would like that to be part of the record. Because the difficulty in what I'm asking for my client, I think, is a couple of things. All of which I understand posing a difficulty for you to grant this variance, all of it. First of all, my client's a tobacco store. We know that the town regulates the distance between tobacco stores. And if we look at the statute 210-111.1, this is in my second letter on January 9th. We know that the language of the statute makes it clear that the reason why we want to have that 500-foot separation is to deal with issues involving neighborhood character. Is to deal with issues particularly protecting schools, youth facilities, and places of worship in order to reduce the ease of access and increase inconvenience, to protect those parts of our community that the town has determined requires protection. But it does not say that the 500-foot separation is not subject to a well-reasoned, I'd like to think it was well-reasoned anyway, application for an area variance. It doesn't say that this statute can be analyzed any differently than any other statute that requires the width of a lot or the width of a driveway or setbacks. It's the same analysis. We have to look at the 5 points. We can't just say it's a tobacco store. We can't have this here. And I think, if you look at the 5 points, the first thing that jumps off the page, if you look at those photos, is that approving this will not cause a change in the character of the location in which the store is proposed to be. It's a commercial zone. The signage is the same. The face of the building will be the same. yes, they'll be selling tobacco products within that store, but they're permitted, subject to this area variance that deals with the store at another mall altogether. The other issue here that I think that it's really, the big deal is, in my view anyway, is a substantial, look, I'm asking for a 50% area variance. Come on, that's a huge number. I know it. And I know the first thing that everyone's got to be thinking is, that's crazy. It's a huge number. But I ask you to think about the context in which I asked for that number. And the context is Route 9. Route 9 provides a visual barrier, as I've just described. Not because someone constructed a wall, but because its elevations act as a wall to separate visually the proposed store from the existing store. Route 9 provides a traffic and pedestrian barrier that requires people to travel further than just across the street to get to it. In my view, Route 9 is a wall. Visual, sound, and if Route 9 wasn't there, I promise you I wouldn't be here asking for that variance, because you couldn't give it to me. It's too big. But I'm asking for it in the context of Route 9. And the one thing I want to emphasize is that that is a distinguishing factor. If somebody else were to walk in here and say to you, you know, I want to get a cigar store, I want to put, seems like I've got more than one of those going on in front of you folks. But if somebody were to walk into you a month from now and say, you know what, I heard Stenger just got a variance for 50% for on this tobacco store thing. I'd like one for 25%. Well, you could do the 5-point analysis, but when you got to the 25%, you could say it's really big. And we find that you're not giving us any context in which to think of it as something out of 5 factors, as something that we should determine doesn't allow us to grant this. But you can say, yeah, but you don't have Route 9. Route 9 is a distinguishing factor. So you're not going to be creating precedent for anybody if you grant this easement. Nobody can walk in and say to you, I want to be within 500 feet because that guy got to do it over there while he got to do it. Because unless they have Route 9, it's not the precedent. That, to me, that's a big deal, and I don't know that I really expressed adequately the last time I was here.
Okay, I think we understand all your arguments, but let me ask if anyone else has any questions about anything new or anything that you've said in the past. Steve?
No questions.
Art?
No.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony? Larry?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this application? All right, I don't see one, nor anyone on Zoom, and so then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And then you can wait till the end of the evening or check with the zoning administrator.
I can watch this from home, right? Or
You can watch it from home, but probably,
I think I'll do that. You know, I just want to thank you for giving me a second bite of this apple. I didn't do as good a job as I thought I could have or should have the first time out. I appreciate it very much, Mr. Chairman, and the board too.
thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 5, Creek Road Plaza. Was there a request to adjourn that, or? Yeah, okay.
Yes, they requested adjournment of a month. A late 9th hour request, 11th hour.
Okay, so then I'll move to adjourn this to the February 9th meeting.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And then, finally, some new business. Manor Hill Community Project. It's- Okay, you state your names, and are you gonna share a screen? Are you?
He's going to, yes.
Prepared to, yes, if the board would like to.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Taylor Palmer with the law firm of Cuddy and Fader on behalf of the applicant.
And I'm Christian Paggi with Paggi Engineering.
Mr. Paggi, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, why don't you describe this application?
Please, thank you for the opportunity. We are before your board this evening in connection with our application for, our public hearing for our application for an area variance to construct 14 mobile home community units and the associated site improvements. As this is the public hearing, if I may, I'll give you a quick background regarding our project, which has actually been before the town and its various boards since 2017. So it's come a long way in its evolution to get before you tonight. As this is the hearing, as we detailed in our December 19th submission, we have about a 5.5 acre property that's located east of North Grand Avenue, and it's located immediately west of the existing 62-unit Manor Hill Mobile Home Community Park, which is just south of the Dutchess Rail Trail. So the area surrounding the property is really consistent of commercial, residential, recreational uses, of course, with the existing mobile home park next door. Back in December, the town board reclassified the property from the R20 zoning district, which is a residence district, to the RMH, or the mobile home zoning district, so that was recently reclassified there. This also followed numerous hearings, of course, before the planning board and the town board in connection with the application. For your consideration, while this would be considered a type 2 action before your board, which would be exempt from seeker just as it relates to only setbacks for a few of the lots, which Christian will show you in just a minute, the planning board that served as the lead agency for the coordinated review between the town board and other involved agencies with the planning board did adopt a negative declaration, which is a type 1 action collectively, which also considered the variances. So as part of that seeker determination, the planning board determined that these variants or these setbacks would not have any significant adverse impact on the neighborhood or the community. So as we noted in our submission, we are proposing 14 mobile home units, and that would each lot would contain a manufactured home with 2 parking spaces, as well as other associated site improvements, a 24-foot wide drive aisle, emergency access, water and sewer connections, screening, landscaping, open space areas, including grills and other outdoor amenities for not only these tenants, but the existing 62 mobile home unit owners, which was a request of the town board during our reclassification process. The applicant, if you may know, the applicant originally proposed 22 total units, and they reduced that down to 14 units as the project evolved, and that was to create additional open spaces, to protect wetlands, a number of other modifications to reduce it down to really make it the minimum relief necessary that's before your board. So with those amenity areas, the visitor parking that's been added, the applicant has spent a lot of time to really refine this back. So with that history, we are specifically before you tonight, specifically regarding section 21083B3 of the town code, and it's only for certain units, which Christian's just gonna highlight on the screen before you. On your plan, it's the top of the plan. That's units 9 through 14. So we are proposing a 30-foot setback from what effectively is the rail trail in that area, whereas the code has a unique requirement. Section 21019D provides the general rear yard setback for this district of 10 feet, but it also provides clearance requirements for the mobile homes within that park. And it says, in quote, "Each mobile home shall be located on the lot with the minimum clearances side 10 feet, and the 40 feet from the rear lot lines, 25 feet from access roads, and 30 feet from exterior lots." There's some other details there. The trigger there is the 30 and 40 foot difference. So while we meet a setback, we don't meet a clearance requirement. Therefore, we are seeking a variance for those specific lots of just 10 feet for those particular parcels. With that, Christian, maybe just a quick, I know you were highlighting it during the presentation, but a quick version of that.
So I did highlight for the board, hopefully you could see the area that we were talking about for lots 9 through 14. The rear property line right here is adjacent to the Dutchess County Rail Trail, as Taylor mentioned. There's a significant buffer, both existing vegetated, and also just with the existing topography between the mobile home park site and the existing rail trail, providing ample buffer. The mobile home park sits roughly 10 feet, at least 10 feet higher than the rail trail. There's also a 6-foot stockade fence along the real property line to provide additional screening. But other than that, that was pretty thoroughly explained by Taylor.
Can you tell me, from the property line to the actual rail trail, the paved portion of the rail trail, do you know what that distance is?
I believe it's 70 feet.
70?
Yes.
70? Okay. And you described a change in topography there. So, my recollection from our field visit is that from the rail trail, really the existing mobile home park is not visible at all from the rail trail. Is that fair to say?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and do you expect this to be any different?
You would be looking at a fence through the trees, through roughly 70 feet of trees. So I don't anticipate you being able to see any units.
Okay, all right. Christine?
No questions.
All right.
No questions.
Sure.
I'm sure right now. As sure as I can for you, Phyllis.
No, I have no questions, thank you.
Tony?
No question, very well explained.
Larry?
No questions.
Linda?
No questions.
All right, anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application? And if you'd unsquare your screen for just a moment, unshare your screen. All right, I don't see anyone on Zoom who wishes to comment on this. Art, still no questions?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Next is item number 7, on for discussion.
Good evening, I'm Karen Labruto with the Labella Associates.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, why don't you describe this application, or this project, sorry.
Sure. So we have been in front of the planning board a few times, but essentially the project is for a repair facility on Route 9D, a motor vehicle repair facility for electric vehicles. Tesla would be the operator. The applicant to the town is O'Connor Management. And we're seeking to develop a 20,500 square foot repair facility with 140 parking spaces. 49 parking spaces would be land banked for the future, should that become a reality, that they be needed. And all the site work would be done for that now. We're here requesting the ability to discuss with you all potential variances that would allow us to encroach within required setbacks and buffers, and also for architectural design. So I've brought a presentation to go through, and I can go through those things. I know that the agenda really only talked about the display vehicle, but we did actually make a full application for 7 area variances, so I wasn't too sure what you all would be expecting to discuss tonight.
So why don't you describe the whole project,
Okay.
at least briefly describing the variances that you're concerned about?
Sure.
And can you tell me where are they with planning?
So they are still before the planning board, working through some seeker review. And so the ZBA won't be in a position to make any decisions tonight. I think the idea was to get a little bit of feedback, or at least introduce the project and maybe get a little bit of feedback about the requested variances. But they have at least one more trip to the planning board, I would
Yes,
imagine.
for sure. And so one thing I just want to point out about the use is that it does not involve collision repair. It's kind of like, computer parts, windshields, key fobs, that sort of thing. Okay, so here we have a list of the variances. So from the 40-foot front yard, we are encroaching in the 30-foot landscape buffer. We have storage of vehicles or equipment within any yard, landscaped or buffered area. Storage of the refuse container within 50 feet of the residential district. And we're within the 100-foot setback from the R20 zoning district, which is to the west of the site, southwest of the site. So those first 5 are the setback and buffer encroachments I talked about. So then the next 2, number 6 and 7, are for the screening of roof-mounted equipment. When we read the zoning, it looks like we need to have an actual screen that's fabricated to screen this equipment. And what we have instead is a parapet, which screens it partially up to 100 feet. Well, it screens it fully up to 100 feet, but it doesn't screen it indefinitely. So we're seeking the variance on that, and then for architectural design, because the code requires that, you know, the structure mimic a mixed-use development of sorts, and ours is a design single structure fitting of a car, you know, car dealership / repair facility in this case. So this runs through the code sections. I'm sure that's not something we need to get into right at the moment. I can say that we've looked through, we've looked at the urban design of the surrounding area, and we find that the design is somewhat consistent with neighboring tax parcels in regard to parking and refuse within the encroachments. I do note that the site is heavily constricted by existing sewer easements, existing cross-access easements, and archaeological resources. The town has declared a desire for a sidewalk on Route 90, which the applicant is, trying to make into a reality, which would necessitate a land donation. The land donation requires that we give approximately 40 feet of the frontage of the site off 90 to the state for the use of a sidewalk. And because we're changing our front property line, now we have our building in the front setback. So there's some connection between those things. The operations necessitate a number of parking spaces. They anticipate 50-plus repair appointments per day. Sometimes vehicles are held for other repair needs over the course of a few days, and then of course they have to wait being picked up. So here is the existing conditions survey, and I think I just wanted to kind of try and draw out a little bit. So this it's pretty hard to read, but this blue hatch through the kind of middle here that I'm dragging my cursor along is the sewer easement that I was talking about. So you can see that it really cuts across. You can't put anything of fixed value on top of the sewer easement, right? Because it has to be accessible. And so then if I skip to, so I've tried to kind of mark out how these variances come into play. So the green that you see, the green highlight is the 30-foot minimum landscape buffer. The blue highlighted area is the 100-foot setback from the residential district. And then over here, the yellow highlight is the 40-foot front yard setback. So, you can see that we have right here up off of 9D, we have the display vehicle and parking spaces. As you kind of go around the perimeter of the site, you see where we have these parking spaces encroaching, and again over here, and again over here at the rear of the site. And kind of just odds and ends places. Then over here where it abuts the residential district, the 100-foot buffer is this blue line, and I've done an overlay showing the area that would be within that 100 feet. And then the landscape buffer, you can see it's kind of some of the same stuff, some of the same encroachments. So that's just a brief summary of what we're asking for. I've kind of gone through the reasoning on it. I don't know if you want me to discuss any in particular, or if you want to ask questions now.
Yeah, could you address this thing about the display vehicle?
So I think there was a comment that came in by Christy, I think, regarding the display vehicle, saying that that we would need a variance because we had a vehicle that was inoperable for over a certain number of days on the site. And I think that our understanding of the code was that this is not an inoperable vehicle. The display vehicle will be a vehicle that is operable. It can be taken down and driven away. It's not like a salvage vehicle, for instance. The display vehicle is encroaching, for sure. And so,
where would it be?
It's right here off of Route 9. But it's actually not the most egregious encroachment. That's the parking. So it's included within a variance that we'll be requesting, but it's not the primary reason for it.
Okay.
Do you see, sorry,
What's-
do you see
What's the
it?
purpose or the,
Of the display vehicle?
yeah,
It's part of their branding, you know, I think they just feel like it's part of the image that they want to put forth on Route 90.
okay. Well, it seems like there's a lot of variances required, but I see that, I mean, your explanation for them, but I don't really have any questions. Christine?
Can you just explain to me what would be backing into the residential area? Or would they be parking spaces?
Sure.
I'm trying to see.
Yep. Sorry, let me just. So yes, it would be largely parking spaces. We would have, you know, landscaping all in this area. This, of course, is the firehouse that's there presently. The residential district and residential uses, and let me just zoom out a little. Let's see. Trying to remember how to get this. That's not what I wanted to do. That's bigger. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so the residential district is down here, right? We'll have quite a bit of mostly evergreen mixed with some deciduous landscaping in this area. But yeah, primarily it's the parking, and then there is some refuse. There's a refuse enclosure and a tire enclosure.
Okay, thank you.
Art?
Are you showing all those parking spots behind the building? How many parking areas are you proposing?
It's a total of 140 parking spaces.
This is for what, sales? This is sales and service or just service?
No, it's just for repairs.
And you need 100 plus parking places for repairs?
Yeah, they estimate, I think it's 50, hold on a second. I have it on here. Yes, this has been there have been lots of questions about the parking, and, you know, the operations guys at Tesla have explained that there's 50 plus repair appointments per day, plus there are vehicles being held for repair and vehicles awaiting pickup. And this is the number that they came up with, that they couldn't live without.
The planning board's had a number of questions about the amount of parking, and then there's some portion of that would be land banked, at least initially, right? Or is that what we,
Well, in addition, so
In-
it's
oh, in
140
addition. So 140 is in there.
starting, and then 45, I think, land banked.
So we can't really speak to that yet because the planning board's not.
Correct, right, that's, yeah. I mean, some of those variances might be smaller if the parking were pulled back away, right? A little bit.
Right, I mean, if the parking were reduced, or the building was reduced, then yeah, it might bring the parking in from the encroachments.
Okay, so you're gonna be right on 9D pretty much, so there won't be any screening between 9D and the building, correct?
You know, I have to get back to you on that. I think that there will be landscaping, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we would not be seeking to screen the facility from 9D.
And the, excuse me, the display vehicle, if you will, is gonna be at ground level, or is it gonna be on some kind of a raised
It's
platform?
gonna be on some kind of a raised platform, I believe, but I don't have any of the
And why would that
specific
be if you're so
details
close-
about it right
Why would
now.
they want that if you're so close to Route 9 or 9D?
The display vehicle?
Why does that have to be higher than the ground level?
I just think that's kind of maybe typical to the dealership, but I have to get you more information on that. That we haven't really sussed out quite yet.
My question, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I can say this, correct me if I'm wrong, I would like to see a display vehicle only at ground level. I don't particularly see any reason for anything being up in the air. Because you're right on Route 9D. You know, you're not far enough back that people are gonna miss it. And if it's gonna be a Tesla dealer, I mean, it's gonna be a destination for certain people. That's good.
I think that's probably something we could address
Down the road.
if that issue comes before us.
But I'll pass along your comment.
Okay. I do have one other question. I think you mentioned it, but somebody years ago tried to develop that property and they found relics, did they not? Indian, et cetera. Does that
Yeah.
have any concern of ours or not? Or has that been cleared?
So if you note the plans, there's a section that talks about the required buffer by, you just had it up there and now the name is escaping me. SHPO, I think it's the required SHPO buffer is shown. It's sort of between this property and the neighboring residential property.
Yep,
So that's one of the added constraints where they won't be building, but that's, on the border of the property, so it wasn't proposed to be developed in any event.
yeah, there's a required buffer imposed by SHPO on that area and specific landscaping in place to be respectful towards it. There's an architectural monitoring plan that has to be in place during construction and all sorts of agreements that will be in place between the applicant or, and SHPO. And we've gone through that process, and we've basically come to the end of that review with SHPO, and we'll be submitting at the end of January their review letter saying that they agreed to the archaeological monitoring plan.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm confused. I'm not sure if you're using the terms interchangeably. Is this going to be a Tesla dealership or a repair shop?
Yeah, it has been confusing for people, and I understand that. It is a repair facility. It is not a dealership. Part of the reason it's not a dealership is because there's no ability to gain any additional licenses in New York State as of right now to open another EV dealership for Tesla. That's about the most I can say on the subject. It's really not my purview as to why they cannot, open a Tesla dealership, but we are not opening a dealership. It's a repair facility. If they choose to transition to a dealership in the future, they'd A, have to have this license from the state, and B, come back to the town for a, transition in use, a reapproval of the site plan allowing a different use, because the motor vehicle repair facility is a unique land use that's permitted. Otherwise, we'd be going in for a sales and service facility, which is not what we're doing. So the land banked parking is related to that, in that, ultimately, if they can, they would like to sell vehicles here. But they really don't know right now what's gonna happen. And so we'll be putting in the stormwater management practices necessary for future parking in that area, but then we'll be overlaying it with topsoil and landscaping it as lawn, so that if it goes forward in the future, that's all taken care of from a drainage standpoint. But if it doesn't, then it just looks like grass.
And how did they come up with the number? You said that they were firm on this number. Where did they get this number from?
It's based on their operations.
Throughout the country?
Right. They have a number of these just repair facilities, because the licensing has been changing and moving over time. And so, they have galleries, which are where they're selling cars. And then they have service facilities, which here in the town of Poughkeepsie is defined as a repair facility, not a service facility, because that's a totally different defined term here in this town.
And so what happens to the waste?
Well, a large portion of waste from any motor vehicle facility, salvage, repair, et cetera, is recycled. So, tires are recycled, a lot of the computer parts and components become recycled. So, the tires are picked up on I think it's a weekly or bi-weekly schedule. Used parts are taken out the same way. One of the big things that we've talked about with the planning board is the storage of the batteries. So the batteries are not just stored indefinitely on site. They're basically ordered as needed, and they come to the site that way. So they're not stored, forever on site. Yes?
What about the batteries are removed?
Yeah, so they have a whole process as to how they deal with those batteries. I'm sorry, that's really operational stuff that Tesla needs to be around to explain to you. It's not.
Yeah, we have spent quite a bit of time with the planning board talking about that. In fact, I think it was last month, we helped coordinate a meeting between the New Hamburg Fire Department, which this is in the New Hamburg Fire District, and the operations folks at Tesla, so that they could all start to talk a little bit and understand that aspect of things. So that, those things are being worked on. They're not directly related to these variances, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's the access to the parcel?
Off Route 90, and also at the intersection that, gives access to Staples currently. So, let me see here.
And that would be the main access would be from the Staples, right?
That's correct. So the main access would be at this intersection here.
Where the traffic light?
Where the traffic
Yeah, where the traffic light is. And then it's the access to, this access here is right in, right out only. It's for trucks and emergency vehicles.
Oh. I'm sorry, Tony.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
How much noise emanates from all of this repair, and how is that managed?
What does happen entirely indoors. Like I said, there's no collision repair happening, so it's not like major repair facility from that standpoint. But I'm sure I anticipate that they have lifts. My understanding is from a repair facility standpoint, it's not the heavy lifting of repair. So I don't anticipate that there would be a lot of noise, but we'll respond to that, make sure we have a clearer answer going forward.
Anything else? Larry?
No questions.
Linda?
The 45 land-based spaces, it says maintained as grass?
Yes.
So does that mean they're not gonna be used?
Not as part of this, not as part of this facility. They're basically being built in because it's more efficient from a construction standpoint at this time, and it's also a better fit from a stormwater management standpoint to have it all constructed together. But it'll be constructed underground to support parking, but then they'll just drop, a foot or two of topsoil on top and seed it. And it won't be used.
So it's gonna be constructed like a normal parking lot, but then they're gonna put grass on top of it?
Well, so a normal parking lot, the pavement section, I think, is like 16 or 18 inches. And part of that is sub-base and coarse binder, all sorts of stuff. And then, you also have the stormwater pipes that are gonna be under there. So that's the part, it's a sub-base and down that's gonna be constructed.
Okay.
Yep,
So it would still have to be paved at some later?
that's
date?
correct, yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, then we're gonna move on to, other business. There's a lead agency request from the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board for Popeye's amended site plan. Anybody have any objection to the planning board being the lead agency?
Nope, I don't.
Then I'll move that we accept, the planning board's request to be lead agency on the Popeye's amended site plan, 535 Heath Avenue.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries. And then number 9, there's another request from the planning board to be lead agency on Hudson Valley Credit Union, 842 Main Street. Anybody have any objection to them being lead agency? No? Then
Just out of-
I'll move that we accept the planning board's.
Where is that on?
So these two actually are related to one another, the two applications are related to one another. So this is that's the location where the Mexican restaurant most recently was. I think it was a Howard Johnson's at one time.
Okay, that's what
and-
okay.
Right, so it's that parcel. And then the parcel across the street that is adjacent to Popeyes is also part of that, so.
You want?
So then I move that we accept or consent to the planning board's request of the lead agency on this project.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Does anybody need a break? No? Okay. Then let's go to item... number 6. That's the Manor Hill Project Park. Does anybody have any concerns about this?
And a matter of,
Manor, what did I say?
no, you said.
Manor Hill Project Park? Okay. All right, it seems that there's certainly a big buffer between the rear lot line and the rail trail. And if it's similar to the other mobile home park that's right next to it, really, there's no impact on the rail trail at all. So I think these are kind of de minimis. This is, it's listed here as an unlisted action, but I think for us, it's a type 2 action.
Well, it was a coordinated review, so it's
okay.
all, so seeker's taken care of.
All right.
Yeah.
There is a staff report. And so, Christine, do you mind making a motion?
Sure. It's number 6. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 6. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth in the staff report. So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, then that motion carries. Then let's go to number 2, 89 Kensington Lane. All right, so this is a request for a variance for the extension of the driveway. It's a request for a 17.5-foot variance over what's allowed for 20 feet. The applicant indicated the need was for their large truck to be able to back around. Initially, they said that the speeding was a problem. However, my understanding is that they've withdrawn that as a reason for the need for the variance. I know there's been some discussion about allowing at least a portion of the turnaround, but my position is it's completely inconsistent with any other driveway in that neighborhood. And if we allowed this one, there's no good reason to deny anybody else who wants to do the same thing.
There was other
Yeah, I
driveways.
think there were.
There were?
That weren't
Yeah.
necessarily turnarounds, that were just completely double,
They were,
multiple.
Well,
weren't a lot of them, but there were a few of them, so.
okay.
I tend to agree with you because over the past couple of years, we've had a number of homeowners coming and saying, I can't back out because the ones we denied, I think we denied almost all of them. I have not seen or heard of an accident for the people backing out of their driveways. The latest one, I think, was up on Route 9G. They did the same thing, and they seem to be having no problem whatsoever because that's just around the corner from me, so.
Yeah, if this were a major thoroughfare, I might have a different analysis, but this is a residential district.
Right.
I think it would change the character of the neighborhood. And so my position would be not to grant it at all. I know you had some interest in just minimizing it to allow them to back around. Is that you're still with that, or?
I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was small.
If it was smaller, even if it's a little narrower, just a
Yeah,
place
I
to
don't see how that changes the analysis for anybody else.
Right, because the guy next door might say the same thing next week,
Right.
I can't back out because,
Yeah,
and then the
I
guy
think
next to him.
in this case, there's nothing different about this application than any of the homes in that housing complex. And so, and the big truck thing,
It's not, it's a standard sized vehicle.
And the speed wasn't an issue.
correct, they withdrew that as a reason for the need.
Right.
I would have to agree with you.
United where on the roads that had speed isn't.
Right, so my analysis might be, if this were a major thoroughfare where it was dangerous to back into the street, my analysis, or my reasoning might be different, but in this case, I don't see the need for it, and, let's see.
And if they use the garage, if you're pulling out of the garage, I think you would have enough room. Because based on my own experience with SUVs and backing up.
Well, as you said, you can back into the garage.
No, if they were parked in the garage, I think you could
That's
make
what
it.
There's no guarantee they use the garage as a garage.
Right.
It may be storage or
They did
whatever,
look
so.
like they
Get
did.
back into the driveway, like a lot of people do.
So what we're talking about kind of is reducing it back to the 20 feet that was,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, so I would personally deny the variance request. They'd be entitled to a 25-foot wide driveway.
You mean a 20-foot wide?
What did I say, 25? Yeah, 20 foot, correct.
I would agree with you.
Anybody have a problem with that? All right, then, let me offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will be reducing the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will create the granting of the area variance. I think that notwithstanding the fact that there may be other wide driveways in that housing complex, I think that this would create a precedent for a change in the character of the neighborhood. And whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible other than area variance, I don't think that they need the turnaround at all. And whether it's substantial, it's more than 50% of the width of the allowed driveway, so I think that it is substantial. And although there's no evidence that they'll have any physical or environmental impact in the neighborhood or district, and I do find this is self-created, and I think that that's a reason, in this case, to deny it. And I would offer those findings. Art, do you mind?
I don't mind.
What?
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Okay, so my suggestion is you make a motion to deny the application.
Do we also add in that motion that it has to be, the blacktop has to be removed and replaced with soil and grass? Because otherwise,
Return it to the condition that pre-existed.
right, grass, not
Not
dirt over
not-
asphalt.
And not gravel.
Right.
Okay. What number is that, 6? No.
2.
I move that the board deny the request for an area variance set forth in item 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In denying this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Nay.
But again, Mr. Chairman, do we have to make note in there that we want to
Oh, you
return,
want to add conditions?
condition that it return
Okay.
to its natural grass, soil and grass?
Yes, and under the, well,
Really condition a denial, I don't think.
Right.
We can just say it has to be returned.
right.
Okay.
And so that was 5 to 2, correct? We had 2 dissents? All right, then the denial passes. That brings us to item number 4. This is a request to have a tobacco store within 500 feet, which is prohibited under our code. The applicant made a number of arguments that how the 500-foot, well, first of all, the applicant recognized that the variance is substantial. And argued that due to the unique nature of it being the original tobacco store is on one side of Route 9 and the applicant store would be on the other side of Route 9, and therefore the effect is minimal, as I understand the applicant's arguments. However, I think the town board put this law into effect because they wanted to reduce the grouping of tobacco stores. And regardless of the fact that one store is on one side of Route 9 and the applicant is going to be on the other side of Route 9, it's well within the 500-foot prohibition. And I don't see any argument that would overcome the request or the guidance of the town board to prohibit these stores within a 500-foot radius, or within 500 feet of each other. Does anybody disagree with me?
So I was thinking of the school bus analogy. If I'm driving a school bus stops on the opposite side, I'm still required to, even though
Right.
Route 9 is set up the way that it is. So I'm kind of reaffirming here, but that's what I thought.
Okay, that's interesting. Yep, it's certainly, yeah, okay. The fact, the divided highway makes no difference in that situation.
And then also, Sweet Frog, which is a large draw to children, is right next door.
Yeah, I think that, that a tobacco store right next to the yogurt store, I think would change the nature of the neighborhood. And certainly, would go against the intent of the town to limit and to protect the health of the neighborhood. So for that reason,
And it's the same that they use for marijuana and I believe liquor stores too. They have I think for marijuana it's 500 feet. It's not, it's consistent with the other codes that the town has enacted for.
right, I don't see any reason to defer from the town, from the board's decision.
In the theory that it's uphill, I mean, you can still see the other plaza from
Yeah.
in front of that store, so
Yeah,
it's not like it's a, 50-foot rise.
I wasn't convinced with any arguments. Okay. And so, in that case, Phyllis, do you mind making a motion? It would be a motion to deny.
It's fine. Are we using,
Oh, yeah, there is a staff report.
there is, okay.
So there's a staff report, and then today I sent something that slightly modifies the staff report because there were statements that were equivocal in the staff report. So it may be helpful to
All right, so
go
I'll-
over either use the staff report as a base or use my suggestions as a base.
And so, I would move to adopt these as findings. Whether an undesirable change will produce in the character of the neighborhood, the granting of the requested variance standing alone may not produce an undesirable change in the character of the commercial neighborhood or create a detriment to nearby properties. However, as we pointed out, it is right next to a yogurt store, and so I think that's part of it. And so I would include the rest of this portion of the staff report. As to number 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance, and I would adopt that portion of the amended staff report. And whether the requested area variance is substantial, it certainly is, and I would adopt that portion of it. And again, number 4. I would adopt that one. And the only thing with number 5, where the alleged difficulty was self-created, I would just say that while it's not necessarily preclude the granting of the variance, I would say in this case, it's certainly a reason toward denying the variance for picking a location in a prohibited area. And so I would offer those amendments to the staff report.
So I note both the amendments and the staff report.
I think that Lisa will,
You can just call it an amended staff report,
yeah.
if you like.
I move that the board deny the request for an area variance set forth in item number 4. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearings, and the results of site visits by the board members. In denying this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth in the amended staff report.
Second?
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And that denial carries at 7-0. And I believe that's the end of our work for tonight. And so I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody.